Open our eyes, please. If you can switch your audio off, there's a lot of interference coming through, please. Thank you. Last week, we spoke about 3 experiences of Kaliyuga. One experience was with Guru Nanak Dev Ji. One experience was with Jesus, and the other was with Muhammad, peace be upon him. Today we want to carry on in the same theme, and I would like to give you an insight into Kaliyuga, Maya, and the 5 thieves, and how we get infected a disease of Maya, and how it manipulates us. Before Kaliyuga, Kaliyuga is the era that we are now living through. The turn of the era was approximately 5,000 years ago, give or take. And many spiritual texts say that this era of Kaliyuga, its total duration is 432,000 years. So needless to say, there is a lot of Kaliyuga to come. The first Yuga was Sat Yuga. This was known as the Golden Age. And this lasted 1,728,000 years according to ancient scriptures. After that came Treta. Treta was the Silver Age, and that lasted 1,296,000 years approximately. Then the third Yuga was the Dwapar. This was known as the Bronze Age, and this lasted, according to the scriptures of the East, 864,000 years. Each Yuga had its own main qualities which drove society. And the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji narrates those as follows by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Slok Mahalla Pehla. Nanak mere sarir ka ek rath rathwa. Jug jug fir vataiye gyani bujjai tai. Sat jug rath santokh ka dharma gai rathwa. Trete rath jate ka jor age rathwa. द्वापर रात तपोका सूत अज्ञरथवा कालयुग रात अगन का कूड़ अज्ञ रथवा. O Nanak, the soul of the body has one chariot and one charioteer. Age after age, the chariot and the charioteer changes. In the golden age of Satyug, the chariot was contentment. People were content in the vast majority. And righteousness was the charioteer. So contentment and righteousness were the two aspects that was driving society. Then there was a slow decline, a very small decline. And in the silver age of Treta, celibacy was the chariot and power. So celibacy and power. And then we went into the brass age. And here penance was the chariot and truth, the charioteer. Penance and truth. And we come into Kaliyuga. And in the iron age of Kaliyuga, fire, desire is the chariot, and falsehood is the charioteer. So in Kaliyuga, desires and hypocrisy and falsehood became the standard norm. Kaliyuga, an age of falsehood, of fire, of anger, of greed, of lust, attachments, bitterness, jealousy, conflict, sin, strife, and discord. These became the way we as humans started to live our life. Kaliyuga has to be understood and defined in two ways. Many say the demon is the age of the demon, and they're perfectly right. Kal is darkness and time. That we live in an era of darkness, and we live in an era where everything allotted to time. Anything that comes will go. Whatever is born will have an end date. Furthermore, Kaliyuga should be broken into three stages. There was the Iron Age, the Black Age, and an age of utter darkness. Kaliyuga, the stages of Kaliyuga. Iron Age, the Black Age, and an age of utter darkness. When I was a young lad, I remember going out for a walk with a saint. And even through young age, my default setting was I always spent time not with my age group, but somebody much higher than my age group. I was just inspired to do that. And we went out for a walk in the park. And he looked at me and he said, "Son, you know, Kaliyuga, it is only in its infancy." And I would say this probably was about 45 years ago, 46 years ago. And I said, "Only in its infancy?" He goes, "Yes, son. It's only up to the ankles. Wait until it goes to the waist. Then you will understand." And when I look at society, the degradation of society over 40 years, I can understand, because I remember when we were young, when an old person came onto the bus or a mother with children came onto a bus, we would stand up and say, "Please take a seat." There was a fear of the police. There was a fear of a hierarchy. And there was a very distinct respect in families where the girls were dressed in front of their parents. So, I mean, looking at that, I can understand how Kaliyuga is actually eradicating our moral standards. I can understand that. So according to certain spiritual understandings, at this moment, what we are going through is a cycle of transformation. We have not experienced the full force of culture, not yet. It's only 5,000 years in. And society is changing, and maybe I think many people of my age on this group will probably experience our society has changed for the worst. Religion is changing. I remember when I was young, there was faith, innocent faith. A lot less of this, but a lot more of this, the respect, which has disappeared by and large. And philosophy is changing. And money or Maya has been elevated over the spiritual aspect. So the bigger the institution you have, the more followers you have, the more spiritual you're assessed to be. Now, there's an arc of descent, which the spiritualist will tell you. It goes down and it'll go back up. When we hit right at the rock bottom of this arc, that is the age of darkness. And I will explain as we go along. But slowly, as we're going down this arc, we are questioning religion, we are questioning spirituality. You can see the Maya, I don't believe, I don't believe, I don't, me. And logic is trying to understand what should have been understood by faith. And the daylight of spirituality is slowly beginning to extinguish. Religions arguing over religions, showing their holy text. Listen, this is a problem with your text. This is a problem with your text. And they're arguing. And yet each and every text was inspired by the divine. Each and every text is the word of the divine. Everyone was inspired in a different way. But Maya is arguing. The Muslim is arguing with the Christian, the Sikh is arguing with, and the Hindus are arguing, everybody. Wealth has replaced virtues as a marker of the status of an individual. So your status as an individual in this Maya world is going to be how big your house is, how big your car is, the type of clothes you wear, as opposed to your virtues of goodness, humbleness, and contentment. And the scriptures say, they forecast way back in time that there will be a time when earth will be overcrowded, leading to those who are the strongest to gain power. The scriptures predict cities will be dominated by thieves. And the interpretations of the holy text will be done by atheists and political leaders. Political institutes, religious institutions run by the political class. Furthermore, the predictions, and I'm going back many thousands of years ago, that uncultured people will accept money on behalf of the divine by dressing up to show austerity in such a way to impress the world as to how pious they are. These are predictions which you will see, and you are, I can certainly see. Look hard enough and you will see. Religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance will diminish day by day. In the text, it says, इस युग में धर्म ना कर्म, कुछ भी, nothing. And the birth will be born in the dark age of evil. Where there will be no karma, there will be no dharmic faith. The citizens, the prediction is, will suffer greatly. There will be weather phenomena, cold, wind, heat, rain, snow. There will be further tormentation by quarrels, hunger, thirst, disease, and severe anxiety. These are some of the predictions from the Eastern text. In the Bible, Timothy, he states, "But understand this, that in the last days there will come a time of difficulty, for people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit. They will be the lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness but denying its power." And then it advises, avoid such people. True spiritual text, and many other spiritual texts going back thousands and thousands of years ago, warning us of the impending force of culture. Now, whereas in the 3 of the 4 yugas, there was a simple understanding, and that understanding was to transcend from our lower self all the way to our higher self, past these 3 stages of Nidman, Bendman, and the Sattvic, was simply done through a path of discipleship. Find a good preordained soul, go in their discipleship, and through that way you will rise. It was like an apprenticeship. In the olden days, if you wanted to become a mechanic, you would go and become an apprentice with a mechanic, and it was a hands-on training. But in Kaliyuga, the yuga that we live in, people have no interest in discipleships, none whatsoever. And instead, people have invented their own spiritual paths. Try explaining something to someone. Well, I don't believe, I don't think, this is not my experience. What experience? There are no experiences in the 3 gunas. Those experiences that one talks about are no more than the play of Maya. But to them, that's an experience. And their experience are manipulated by their own deeds and needs. And therefore, they have a very misplaced understanding. Hence, we have so many issues in society, especially in the religious domain. It's almost like being on the wild oceans of the seas without any compass. We are spiritually on the ocean of what is known as Bhavsagar. Yet we have no spiritual compass, we have no pilot on our ship to guide us through. As a consequence, we are drifting aimlessly into oblivion. I have seen on these forums, I've been going through, nobody has said, well, Jesus or Bible. They're all talking about their ways, their understandings, this D and that D and that and that and that. No one has come back and spoke about Jesus. People are just relating their own experiences, which are born from the 3 gunas. And in Kaliyuga, The path which should have been born from faith, love, and respect and humbleness is now born from logic and argument. The one who understands this path, he has no arguments with anyone. What logic is there when you love somebody? So the attempt is to transcend these three stages, but with the Maya mind. And the Maya mind is that mind which is only false, and it is not approved by any spiritual text. People are stuck in this Maya mind, their own interpretations. They have never read a text. They have never referred. They have never done discipleship. A few months here and a few months there, and they come back and they teach us. That's false. And I can assure you one thing. The rewards of that type of discipleship following is going to give you no more than simply a false reward. There is no reward. Because the absolute truth must descend from the absolute platform. So whether you're a Muslim, it's the Quran. Whether you're a Christian, it's the Holy Bible. Whether you're a Hindu, it's going to be your Vedas. Whether you're going to Sikh, it's going to the Sri Guru Granth Sahib. Whichever religion you belong to, your scriptures are the absolute truth. Not for you to shout at anybody else, but for you to adopt in your life. And then those people who have adopted those values, those are the people that you should listen to. Without the true Guru, whether it's Guru Nanak, whether it's Allah, whether it's Jesus, whether it's Shiva, whoever, without the true Guru, no one will find this treasure of now. No one will. Not possible. Not possible. And those blind people and those false teachings will only result in endless wanderings, life after life after life. Maya. What is Maya? So we know Kaliyuga, the demon, the dark, an age where everything has a finite. Maya is an illusion, and they work together as an army. Maya is the recruit of Kaliyuga. And Maya has to be recognized in three ways. Maya as the daughter of the hoarder, according to the spiritual text. And such people are known as the Kripans in the spiritual text of the Guru Granth Sahib. Maya is also recognized as a wife of the worldly person, also known as Sansari or Sakat. But in the third, Maya is the slave of the holy people. Sadhu, saints, Mahatma, and Gurmukhs. These are the three roles of Maya. And Maya, this illusion, operates in our three levels of spiritual construct. Rajgun, Tamgun, Satgun, or Sattvic. Rajgun meaning the gross mind, a dull mind, the mind that's simply argumentative, just arguing, lazy, not want to doing anything for anybody, just argumentative. Then you have the desire-driven mind, which is better than the gross mind, because if you develop the desire to do something good, you will. But 99% of the people, their desires go in the opposite direction. Then you have the sattvic mind. And even the sattvic mind, a mind where you get all these experiences, these out-of-body experiences, is still known as the Maya mind because it takes you away from the truth. That is not the truth. And many spiritualists are caught in the sattvic mind. Many spiritualists are caught. They start seeing things, they start experiencing things, and things not so pleasant, or those experiences which will trap them. Because in that state, the Maya will work on your deepest desires. Even those desires that you do not know yourself, Maya understands you better. And the scriptures say, Trehe gun bandi dehuri, jo aya jag so khel. The three qualities of Maya hold the body in bondage. And whoever comes in the world is subject to their play. And in these three gunas, man is completely intoxicated. Now, Maya, we must understand furthermore in two ways. There is the formless Maya and there is the material Maya. The formless Maya are the thoughts. So you could be sitting in a temple, dressed nice and white, and you're sitting there meditating, but the Maya is in the mind, the thoughts. The thoughts are here, there, and everywhere. That is Maya. And then you have the material Maya, attachments and greed and so on and so forth. Maya is an illusion, the great deceiver, and they are the foot soldiers. So you got Kaliyuga, you got Maya, and then the foot soldiers of Maya are lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar. And together they are a team. And they are known as the Sarkar of Kaliyuga, the army of Kaliyuga. And its simple purpose is to corrupt, to promote chaos and destruction in the thoughts of those who follow the path of divinity. To detach the human mind from meditation, to disconnect an individual from their Nam mantra. So how do we get caught in this web? 9 months when the child is in the mother's womb, it's protected. It's protected by the Shabad. Mata garb mein aapan simran dehe teh tumra khanhare. In the mother's womb, the divine Lord protected you through the divine power. Here, there was no Kaliyuga. There was no influence of Maya. Then the day came, and we came into this material world. And this is how the scriptures describe the events. Pehle pyar laga than dodh, duje maaye baap ki sudh. The child is born. And the first thing the child gets attracted to is the mother's milk. Then, the love for the parents is born. Tije pya pabi beb chothe pyaro panni khed. Closely followed by the love for the siblings. Then the love for playing games awakens. Panjਵੇਂ khan piyan ki taat, ਛੇਵੇਂ ਕਾਮ ਨ ਪੁੱਛੈ ਜਾਤ. In the fifth stage, the independent love for food and drink. Then in the sixth stage, sexual desires. No respect for social norms becomes very strong. Satਵੇਂ ਸਾਂਝ ਕੀਆ ਘਰ ਵਾਸ, ਅੱਠਵੇਂ ਕ੍ਰੋਧ ਹੋਆ ਤਨ ਨਾਸ. In the 7th stage, a desire to accumulate wealth and chasing for pleasure becomes very strong. And in the 8th stage, the body energy starts dying out. And no longer that person of authority he once was is able to exert control. But yet, Maya still is unable to let go. And in your old age, you are still advising and giving your tuppence worth, but nobody is listening to you anymore. And the body is getting consumed with anger. Nawe tole ubbehe saha ureya hanse dasaira. In the 9th stage, one turns grey, energy has depleted, and breathing becomes labored. And in the 10th stage, death has knocked on the door. The individual is cremated and turned to ashes, and one is sent off crying and lamenting. This is the process. And in this process, our love and focus is cemented in the world from the day we were born. And as we grow into this world, our love for the divine becomes weaker and weaker. And the need to satisfy our desires become powerful. And as we move into the arena of Kaliyuga, we start to play in the crowd of Kaliyuga. An elaborate web of illusion and deceit has now been created. We forgot who we were and started to associate ourselves with the world, the illusion, the jobs, the businesses, how I look, how much money I have. And in this illusion, we create our own universe. Each and every one of us, in our mind, we all have our own little mini universes. We all exist in our little mini universe. And in this universe, we develop our likes, our dislikes, our expectations, our friends, our enemies, and so on and so forth. But yet, there are some people who have recognized this trap. They are known as Gurmukhs. And they, because the responsible parenting made sure that they connected throughout their early age with the divine, and they made sure that the Sangat of the holy was always coming to their homes. I remember when I was younger, I cannot remember a time when we had alcohol being served up. All I could ever remember, and going back many, many years, saints would come and I would spend time, I would feed them and take their dishes away, and we would sit down and wait to listen to what they had to say to us. And it was an amazing experience. And then after they would eat, they would pray for you, and then they would do some meditation with you, they would bless you, and then they would go. And you would never see them again. And this was the way I was brought up. So those who can create this environment within their homes will remain alert and connected to the divine mantra. Otherwise, in separation, the inner lotus flower will start to wither and wither. And what was supposed to be a beautiful luminance of the divine, we became the slave of temptations and desires. Just look at yourselves, all of us, including me. I'm not preaching you, I'm not teaching you, I'm sharing with you. The plan of this demon is very cunning. Little by little, it chips away. It takes you away from who you are to what you are not. You are the child of the divine. You're the son of the divine. You're the prince. You're a princess. But yet, emotionally, we have become beggars of culture. And this divine intellect that we were gifted with, we have sold cheaply to Maya. And you know what the result is? We start to fall from grace of the divine. We start to lose the knowledge of the divine. We start to lose our innate holiness. We start to deprive ourselves of the bountiful promises of the divine. We deprive ourselves from the love and the security of the divine. And you know where Maya will lead us towards the end? On a solitary path of isolation and pain. It is a friend. It's a wife that will leave you at the end. This is what the spiritual texts say. How many people has Maya married and destroyed and went on? So subtle is the play of Maya that sadly we will not even notice a decline as it's happening. And yet every step, every thought we take, Maya will justify our actions, justify our thoughts, justify our motive, simply to feed our ego. Maya will give us a sense of self-respect. However, this simply is an illusion of self-respect, because this respect will simply fade away. And eventually our intellect will be totally intoxicated by the sensory world, having a profound impact on our thoughts and actions. Such is the cunning nature of Kaliyuga and Maya. And even if one manages to control the five thieves, Maya still will not stop. It will work through people who are closest to you. It will work through those that you have a lot of respect for, that you have attachments with. It will still try to affect you. Only when we rise above the three gunas are we truly free from the influence of Maya. Because in the fourth stage, Maya simply does not exist. And this is only going to be achieved by the true Guru and the recitation of the Shabd mantra. There is no other way. No other way. You're not going to think your way out of this one. So where are we spiritually? How do we assess where we stand? Look at yourself. Does your heart feel a natural hatred for gossip? Or do you make a cup of tea and sit there and listen? Ask yourself that. Does your heart feel a natural hatred for anger? Does your heart feel a natural hatred towards greed? Does your heart feel a natural hatred to any acts of sin? Any acts? Do we get angry with a passion when we understand that we have behaved in a substandard moral way? Substandard moral way. If we have ticked yes to those, then we are progressing spiritually, because we have identified the fight. If we do not find any resistance within us at all, and we just flow away with the moment, with the time, then sadly we are operating within the three gunas: the Rajguna, the Tamguna, and the Satguna. And the more we justify our behaviors, the greater the power we give to the demon inside, this Maya, this illusion. And the more we can begin to acknowledge and reflect and fight to change our habits, the quicker our path to salvation will be. We will grow and grow in our divinity, and that is the only purpose of a spiritual soul in your life. They will help you. My master used to say, son, he goes, these eyes, they look everywhere, all around, and they will see faults in everything and every place, and yet it cannot see the mark on its own face. You need a mirror. These eyes which see the world cannot see the mark on its own face. We need Sangat, otherwise we will not understand where we are going wrong. And that Sangat which has risen above the three modes. This I think, I know, I feel, this I is the problem. It'll keep you in that trap, and it is going to spit you out, and you're going to be completely isolated in the final moments of your life. Please take this on heart, what I'm sharing with you. We must be careful not to nourish the evil within us, because at this moment in time, our beautiful, divine soul is being completely suffocated. And the more we indulge Maya, the more we indulge our own habits, the more these habits will become cancerous. The deeper they will root within us, and the more difficult they will be to eradicate. Remember what I said last time. Maintain, not regain. So connect back to the divine through the practice of the mantra. Each and every one of us must meditate. Connect with your spiritual teachings. Find a good, divine, spiritual, blessed soul as a friend. And through this, you will rise, you will go higher, you will win, and you can free yourself and become a beautiful, divine, blessed soul. And when you free yourself, you will be out there freeing many, 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 many people. Understand one thing. 25% of any teaching, as true spiritualist, only 25% of the teaching is done from the mouth. 75 is done through the resonance, through the aura. Not through this. They resonate. Those teachings resonate. So you have to raise yourself so that you can understand the resonance of a true teacher. You have this one life, make it count, please. The choice is ours. We have the choice. God bless you all.